We've got Life.
And we've got the new Power Rangers movie.
And if we've got time, we've got the last word.
Oh, yeah.
And if you'd like to join the conversation, we're live until 8:30 at 780-4909. That's 780-4909. What do you want to start off with?
Start off with Life. After getting the first evidence of life from a soil sample from Mars, the crew working aboard the International Space Station are given a horrible surprise when the life form starts to have a mind of its own and show the crew who's really the superior species. It is directed by Daniel Espinosa. It is written by Rhett Reese and Paul Wernick. It stars Jake Gyllenhaal, Rebecca Ferguson, Ryan Reynolds, Hiroki Sanada, Ariane Barkara, Olga, I'm very sorry I'm going to botch this, Dio Hodjevich, Aniana, and what do you guys think?
Do these scientists not watch sci-fi movies?
No, I don't think in any sci-fi movie that there's any sci-fi movie that exists.
Yeah, there never appears to be any rationale.
I know Ryan Reynolds' character clearly did not see any.
I know. But for saying that, for a good part of the movie, I was kind of captivated.
Me too.
'Cause what's going to happen? I mean, yes, I've seen these types of movies. But yeah, it was kind of a different premise. You're floating on a space station above the Earth.
Yeah,
You've got some responsibility.
It pretty much felt like Gravity X Alien in some regards.
Yeah. It felt, from what other movies I've seen, it felt definitely more grounded in a sense because it wasn't this other spaceship. Like with Alien, they're way out in space and the technology is very expanded. And this one is straight. It's the ISS. And it all feels real or feels there's more reality to it that this could actually happen because they kept it in Mars. They didn't like go far away.
Right. An extraction from Mars.
Yes.
Yeah, and even though it may not have felt entirely original, it still was tense. It kept me interested. In fact, like the opening shot is really impressive. It's this super long take, just like going through the station. It's them getting the sample, and they have to catch the sample because like it went off course a bit, and there's like, you know, are they going to get it kind of thing. And I thought that was executed well. And it might have been two shots because there's a moment like they go through the glass, I think, and then they go back. So, but either way, like it felt seamless. It was really well done.
Yeah. And I like the interaction where the team at the space station were interacting with the people on Earth.
Yep.
So they had this whole promotion, name the alien, and, you know, once you give the name to a being.
You feel for it, and also makes it more creepy when it starts to attack you.
I don't think we're giving anything away there.
No.
'Cause that you do see in the previews.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
And obviously we're not going to give a whole lot of things here. But, you know, I mean, John and I texted a little bit after that we both saw this. And, you know, it played out kind of how I thought it would.
Yep.
Which I was hoping for something different. Because it's like, all right, so this is happening. And all right. But in the end, I actually was okay with it, though. Even though I saw it coming. The ending fit.
Yes.
It was a very climactic couple of scenes building up to it, and how it resolved itself, or how it ended.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought they did well.
Yes.
You know this is a space. It's a horror movie. You see things happen in the trailer, which ramp that up about by 10.
Yep.
Because there's some pretty gruesome shots in here.
Yeah.
Not for small children.
Yeah, definitely not. There's one death in particular that like stood out. I'm like just imagining living in that scenario would just be absolutely horrifying. I guess I won't go into space in the near future. But...
Oh yeah. Now I was thinking the other one, but yeah, that one in particular, the second one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one was
Both visually and the sound effects to it.
Yeah.
I mean, to watch and listen to this happen. I mean, I was kind of crunching in on my seat.
Yeah.
As were the people in my audience, and because this I saw again in a rather packed house.
I know I definitely was looking away a few times. I'm just like, no, nope.
I'm not gonna do it.
No, please don't. I'm gonna, not today.
What did you all think of the design of the creature?
I liked it. I thought it was to give some context, it's a creature that's only muscle and a nervous system. So what I liked about it was very clear and translucent because it was in space. So I mean, there's nothing like kind of that it can attach onto, and it was cool how like in other movies, kind of like Alien, the creature grows and grows and grows, and when you see the full thing, it was still creepy enough because you couldn't really take out like if there's eyes or anything. So it was very unnerving for me.
And they had one line in there that pretty much describes it as, one all muscle, all brain,
yeah.
all eye. So, they had enough smart-ish dialogue so you can kind of forget some of the science behind some of this happening. So it kind of lights her. What'd you think about it, John?
Yeah, I thought it looked really neat. I liked it more, and I think in its earlier forms than the later ones, because it was just it almost felt even more intimidating when it was smaller, because it was able to do a lot of damage. Like you can see in the preview, like when it grabs the scientist's hand, it's just like crushing it. And like just this little thing, you're like,
Yeah. What I didn't know when I was like writing the synopsis that the writers of this also wrote Deadpool, and I believe also Zombieland. So they it was definitely a departure for them from straight comedy. They definitely wrote Ryan Reynolds some good dialogue.
Yeah, and that kind of would make sense of where they place some of the comic relief dialogue.
Yeah.
Because some of it was, okay, I know we need some levity here, and I kind of get it. And, to see that in the such sullen character. So the Ryan Reynolds and the Jake Gyllenhaal characters, how they played off each other.
yeah. I thought the writing was fine. I felt like we really didn't get to know the characters that well. It felt like we just knew them at a very base level.
Yeah. And it's a horror movie, so usually those...
Yeah, I understand that, but I guess it was just kind of like, I don't know, I wouldn't say cliche, but I guess it's just like maybe I want to know just a tad bit more. I mean, obviously you don't want to like stretch this thing out. This thing, the runtime's like what, an hour 45, I think it was.
Yeah, it wasn't too long. It wasn't like Avatar.
Yeah, I guess my issue was more with Jake Gyllenhaal's character.
And if you're just tuning into Cinema Hits and Misses, John, Ryan, and Don here talking about life. We're here live till 8:30 at 780-4909. That's 780-4909.
Yeah, dude.
What else do you want to say about life?
Yeah, to go back on, just to elaborate on my point about Jake Gyllenhaal's character, he's a guy who's kind of distant from humanity. He talks about how the world, humanity's done terrible things against each other, but I feel like there could have been more to it. I felt like, I mean, yes, there is truth to that statement, but at the same time, like, I kind of wish there was like another like personal angle to it, like he got hurt emotionally or something like that when he was younger, to maybe like believe more that he's distant rather than just like, oh, I'm just like, oh, reality's such a bummer. So that's how he felt like to me. I don't know how you all feel about that.
Well, yeah, it was kind of that, woe is me, people on Earth are so bad.
Yeah.
That, I don't want to go back. So you kind of remind me of the Eeyore of, of the crew. I was maybe the Eeyore and Reynolds would be the Tigger.
Yes. Oh,
that'd be a cross up I would.
Tigger.
Yeah, that'd be a cross up I would not want to see.
God.
And, Rebecca Ferguson.
Yep.
As the protocol officer coming through here. I mean, she comes on, and you know that between her and the commander here, and I don't want to butcher her name either, but Olga Jehov, Russian name.
Yep.
Jehovichnaya. I mean, two strong characters, part of the crew. You knew that they knew that something else was going on as far as protocols.
That's true, yes. Yep.
And I thought they played that very well, the nonverbal communication that you see on the screen, that they know something's going on. And I love Hiroyuki Sanada.
Yeah.
He's been in so many shows that I like that, seeing him here in a different role, I thought was really good and, added probably the most humanity.
Yeah, because they legitimately showed the trailer. He has a son that was born while he's on the ISS. So you definitely feel more towards him than anyone else. Ryan Reynolds says, hey, I have a dog. I want to go see my dog again. But this one was definitely gut wrenching, and you're like, please, He's a family.
Right. So, for me, it's not a fabulous film. I think it's entertaining. If you like the genre, I think this is one to see in a theater, probably matinee.
Yep.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Either matinee or you can wait for DVD. I mean, it's competently made. It's not entirely original per se, but that doesn't mean it wasn't entertaining. So,
right. So it's it's something that I think is for a relatively medium to big budget is entertaining, and it's not so epic that you absolutely must see it on screen. But I like being in that environment.
Yeah, and especially for a space movie, the effects do hold up a lot. Even though it's like not a big name, they definitely took the time to make it as realistic as possible. Like, oh, this looks like they're in space. There's no bad like CGI. It seems very consistent. I mean, like the alien has to be fully CGI. Definitely agree at the beginning. He's more terrifying as a little guy, and then when he got bigger, it's like, oh, that's CGI. But yeah.
Anything else about life?
I feel like we covered everything.
All right. How about Safan's Power Rangers, guys?
Yes, let's talk about this. We opened up 2 high school kids taking a cow into a locker room as part of a prank. Turns out their secret prank didn't work as planned, and they are being chased by the police. At the moment the teens think they got away, they get into a car crash. The driver, Jason, takes the blame for the entire thing and is forced to go to detention every weekend. On his first day, he stops a bully from harassing another student named Billy. Billy is thankful to Jason and wants him to help out with something. This leads them, along with several other students named Kimberly, Zach, and Trini, to a quarry. Billy blows up the side of a cliff and discovers these glowing colored coins, and there's one for each of them. This explosion catches the attention of the quarry security, and the teens try to escape, but they end up in a car crash getting hit by a train. The teens wake up to the next day completely unharmed and with super strength. They all return to the quarry the next day and meet with an alien being known as Zordon that tells them that these coins allow them to become a team known as the Power Rangers. They must come together to defeat Rita Repulsa, who seeks to destroy life on Earth. Now, this is directed by Dean Israelite and stars Dacre, I had to look this up. Dacre Montgomery, Naomi Scott, R.J. Seiler, either one. Sorry if I butchered the name. Becky G, Ludi Lin, Bill Hader, Bryan Cranston, and Elizabeth Banks. It has 46% on Rotten Tomatoes, and 80% of audiences liked it.
Interesting switch there between the two.
Yeah.
What did you guys think?
No, I wasn't a fan growing up of Power Rangers, even though it came out when I was younger. I didn't really find interest in seeing the movie, but John and our friend Aaron wanted to go see it, and I tagged along. The first half, and listening to the first half, the synopsis, it definitely sounds like Breakfast Club, close to Breakfast Club, and that's what the beginning half of the movie feels like, which I liked. I liked the beginning half. Right when they start bringing, like, the lore of the Power Rangers is when it lost me, because I'm not used to all, like, the words, like Zordon and Morphin, and that's when it kind of, because the beginning part felt grounded, but right when they threw in all the words and they kept on repeating a lot, including Krispy Kreme, that's when I kind of got real bored.
Yeah, so, thinking back on it, I appreciate the attempt they're trying to go for with fleshing out these characters and trying to develop them. Though there's this one moment in the film, they're like, guys, we need a character development scene. Like, they say that clearly. Obviously, they don't say it like that, but that's what it felt like. And they're like, all right, everybody, let's, catch up on all the other characters who didn't really show up in the beginning, and now we need to catch up on them. And that scene, I understand a lot of people like that. To me, it didn't work as much, mostly because of the delivery, but by one of them was just like, I didn't believe it. In fact, I might have laughed at one point because I'm like, I don't buy that. I really think the biggest issue with this film is that tonally it just clashes. So you have this grounded Breakfast Club vibe, and then you get this over-the-top cheese fest, brought by Elizabeth Banks, Rita Repulsa, and it just doesn't mesh. Like, it feels like it's just 2 different movies happening at once.
Yeah, it doesn't know, like the halfway point is when it doesn't know what movie it is, because there's a part in it where it's near the end, so I won't fully spoil it, but they play a song that's way out of context for the entire movie. Like even before that, it still feels like grounded. There is a point when they become Power Rangers, and it's back to this dark, gritty tone, but like at least somewhat dark. And then they play a song out of nowhere, and I'm just like, what? Now this is all goofy again? What? And then it like goes away for like, it's like 15 seconds.
So is it set present day as opposed to the 90s when they originated?
Yes.
Yeah.
So the music is a little bit out of place.
Yeah, the song, I don't want to, it's from Power Rangers. So it's, if it was in the 90s, I think it would have been okay, because then there's parts of, I believe you or Aaron said, the pop music that they used felt like someone left their iPod on.
I feel like I say that about, you know.
Yeah, you said that about Suicide Squad too, but yeah.
Well, I mean, that there's a lot of truth in that, but yeah, I don't know. I think, I'm not trying to say like how, you know, how people feel like they should interpret the films. To me, when I was reading a lot of reviews from different people all over the internet, it felt like they were just like, oh, because they tried to attempt it, therefore it's good. I mean, look, if they liked it, more power to them. Okay, but all puns aside, I appreciate what they were going for. I liked it more so like the first couple scenes I thought worked. Like when, like, you know, RJ Kyler or Siler, I know I'm butchering the name, but he was in Me and Earl and the Dying Girl.
Yes. Okay.
He was really good. He was Earl.
He was great, and he was probably my favorite character of the bunch. I felt like he had like the most like heartfelt moments and some humor as well.
He was the most well-rounded, I think, of
Yeah.
everyone. That it felt more realistic while he was grounded. Everyone else was, they had to like push in.
Yeah, like so when he said a few lines, like I felt like it was earned in a sense. Whereas like with the other characters, I'm like, I don't buy it. And it's difficult, you know. You're cramming like 5 characters plus all the supporting characters into like a 2-hour movie, and you're trying to do all these things. And look, it's difficult. I think they did, you know, they did okay, but I feel like they could have done better.
And if you're just tuning in, this is Cinema Hits and Misses on WMPG. We're talking about Power Rangers. If you'd like to call in at 780-4909. Yeah, I think another movie that this reminded me of, and I'm sorry for fans of this movie, remind me of Twilight in a sense that...
Like a space light?
Yes. Because I saw the first Twilight. It's the only movie out of the series I've seen. But the area, like, even it's kind of rainy because Twilight takes place in like Washington, so it's raining. I don't know what state this movie takes place in, but it had that dark sense that Twilight had, like the false darkness, where like there's fantasy things that should be dark that just aren't, like the vampires. This one's it's the Power Rangers, but they show aliens. The opening scene's pretty dark, but then it just like it uses levity in the kind of the wrong way of like making it light again. Where I think even though the original series was cheesy, if they had just gone straight cheesy, I would have been fine with that. If they went straight dark, that would have been fine with that. But like John said, the tone just jumps all over the place between the two, that it doesn't meld well.
Yeah, and even though I think that like Elizabeth Banks' character doesn't really belong for what they were trying to go for, I feel like she definitely commits to it.
Yeah,
That's for sure.
Props to her.
Well, I mean, she, in another tween type movie, Hunger Games.
Yes.
I mean, she was really that over the top character. So here as Rita, she's a campy villain.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it
Kind of
feels like
stupid too, like that campiness. Like she's a fish out of water and doesn't understand. Like, oh, she's in present day because she's from like the way, like the what is it, like the dinosaur
back
era.
in the dinosaurs.
Yeah, and when she comes back, everyone's just like, "What?" She's like, they're like, "Are you okay?" And then she's just like twitching her head and like breathing weird, and she's all like wet from like the ocean with seaweed on her, and I'm like, "What?" So,
I mean, like I said, she commits.
she commits to the role.
I mean, and I know we've talked a lot about like how, you know, there's some issues with characters and that. This film falls to a lot of origin story tropes. And like, you know, it goes with like this big battle at the end kind of thing. It's the end of the world is at stake. And I'm like, it doesn't feel entirely new. And I'm not saying that, Life is a good example of a film that doesn't feel new, but it's competently done.
Yep.
I feel like with this, I could see the attempt. The execution just doesn't hit the finish line.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing, I mean, this is Mighty Morphin Power Rangers were. It was a show in the 90s, and so for you, John, you watched it, so you knew. You were aware of it.
You were more aware. You watched it more often than I did.
I was only aware of it. I was only aware of it because a website known as Twitch.tv was doing a marathon of it. So I'm gonna watch a few episodes to get the feel of it. And I'm like, wow, this is extremely cheesy.
Well, the reason, I mean, Ryan comes to this cold.
Yep.
And finds
which is weird. I've never come into like a thing cold, like straight cold. So yeah.
So it's interesting to hear you two and to figure out what the audience is then, or how successful it is to meet the audience that's trying to go for.
Yeah. I think, like you said with the reviews, I think people who are generally a fan of this have enjoyed it. Which I was trying to go in and like see, since I went in cold and seeing it, trying to see it as both a movie and like a fan thing, and I just couldn't see it as the fan thing. It was really interesting just because John likes the Transformers movies, or he's a fan of the Transformers movies.
Yeah.
I like Transformers.
Yeah, so,
I'm campy with Transformers.
So
I
like,
get that.
It's kind of like the same thing. Like, do you go seeing this as a movie, like as a film, or do you just see this as like a popcorn movie? And I think just for me, I just couldn't pay attention long enough. I just got bored for me, but I know like definitely some people would enjoy like turning your brain off and just like enjoying it.
Yeah, I mean, but there really isn't too much action. It's pretty much
still until the end.
It's crammed at the end, but like they're trying to do development, and like I said, I appreciate that they tried to go for it. I just don't think it worked for me personally. But I mean, it did to some more than others. But yeah.
Besides R.J. Seiler.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have known any of the younger cast. I know the adult cast: Bryan Cranston, Elizabeth Banks, Bill Hader. Love them all, but it doesn't sound. It sounds like they're there. Their names are there, so I call it kind of paycheck movie.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. Definitely for Bill Hader. I feel like I know normally for voiceover stuff, you go in for like a day or two. I think he just went in for like 45 minutes because his lines weren't even. It was meant for like comic relief, but he didn't say anything funny. He was just saying, "Oh no, oh boy, look, what's he doing? They're Power Rangers."
So he had a little bit more variety than Vin Diesel does in Guardians.
Yes.
But we'll look forward to Guardians a whole lot more. So, what do you think, guys? Go see this? Wait for home viewing?
I feel like if you're a fan of the original series, you'll probably enjoy it. Maybe it's hard to say because we both of us did not watch it ever through our childhood. So to me, it's a watch on cable. Like that's how I feel about it. But
yeah, cable sounds good. Or Netflix. At least it wasn't long. That was the thing. Like compared to the Transformers movies, this thing was like 2 hours.
2 hours. Yeah.
2 hours. Transformers movie, that was 3 hours. This was fine.
Okay. All right. Well, we've got a couple minutes.
Yep.
I did something different. I got to see The Last Word, which stars Shirley MacLaine and Amanda Seyfried, Anne Heche, and Tom Sadowski. It's about Harriet Lawler, who's a retired divorced advertising executive who finds herself with too much time on her hands. And she might be a little bit of a control freak if you consider styling her own hair while her beautician stands by, or trimming her hedges while the gardener watches, or, these are her normal bits of life. And you might understand why it would gall her to have her final life statement, her obituary, written by a total stranger. So she marches down to her local paper, one that she's had heavy investment in during her advertising career, and demands to meet the person responsible for obituaries. Enter Anne Sherman, a wannabe writer who stalled in a career of making people sound far more interesting in death than they might have been in real life. Harry calls Anne's work fiction. After all, she knew most of the people that Anne's written about, and they weren't that interesting. Harriet has a list of 100 names for Anne to contact to write a truthful account of her life. The trouble is, most people, including Harriet's ex-husband and her estranged daughter, don't want any part of the project. I think for this one, it's a great cast, but I think it's a movie that story pretty pedestrian. I think you guys would find it probably just as unexciting maybe as parts of the Power Rangers. And that's unfortunate because it's a good cast and there are moments here where these two adult women and one young woman connect. So like on the blood chill test about women having first and last names and not having conversations only about men, it meets those criteria. But it's a movie that certainly you can wait till you're home to see or rent on cable. I mean, it's playing at the Nickelodeon here in town. It'll be here another week. If you like this cast, it's well worth catching. And for a weekday matinee, it was a half-packed house. So I think it got some attention. But I'm glad I saw it. I thought it entertaining. It kind of reminded me if you've ever saw Steel Magnolias.
Okay.
Yeah.
Shirley MacLaine, that Weezer character. So picture that Weezer character just a little bit more sophisticated in like a Southern California town. That's pretty much it. Cool stuff about a radio station. So it kind of reminded me about WMPG. So kudos to that. But again, one that's a smaller film. Something to watch. I think on a kind of a rainy or snowy weekend.
Oh yeah, coming up.
Coming up. But I guess that's the last word on the last word. And I know that Course at the Nick right now, Peace, Love, and Zoo is playing. And if you're listening and you're still close to town, there is a second show tonight, so you can still catch. It's either 9 or 9:30.
I believe it's 9.
Yeah, so you can do that. And what about next week, guys? What are we going to see?
We've got Ghost in the Shell and
The Zookeeper's Wife.
yes.
So that's another edition here, the last one in March for Cinema Hits and Misses. Stay tuned because Justine's got Between the Notes some great jazz to take you through the next part of your evening.